We look at creation as four different dimensions. Sthula, which means the gross physical creation. Sukshma, which means subtle. That means you cannot perceive them through sense organs, but if you hone your attention to a certain level, then you can perceive that. So this is called as Vishesh Gyan, which means an extraordinary perception, or it's called Vigyan. Today in India, in local languages, the word for science is Vigyan, okay? That means it's Vishesh Gyan. Vishesh Gyan means extraordinary perception. So we are perceiving things that our sense organs could not perceive, but still they are in the realm of physicality. And all physicality is perceivable through sense organs if they are honed well. If you may not be able to perceive, some other creature on the planet is able to perceive. I think…
Yeah, many different creatures have totally different
So
slices
they're
of
able
their
to perceive,
ecosystem.
that means it's still physical reality. So, what is called as sthula is gross reality, which all of us can see, hear and smell. What is considered as sukshma, still physicality, but so subtle that your eyes and ears are not good enough for that, but if you're willing to pay attention, you can perceive. Then next is called as shunya, which literally translates as emptiness in English, but emptiness is not the word. It is physicality without form. There is no form, all physical has defined form, but shunya means physicality has reached a place where there is no form to it, it's just physical, or it's fundamental material of physicality. The next is called as Shiva, which means that which is not. That means that which is not physical at all. So, existence is seen as these four components, and how to perceive these four dimensions. There's a whole methodology. Why I'm saying this is, if only scientists who have pursued things so far into physical reality, if they pay little attention to the most fundamental physicality, which is themselves, if they turn inward rather than constantly looking through a telescope or a microscope, if they spend equal amount of time turning inward, I think something phenomenal could come out of it.
For many scientists, the reason they turn outward is as a way of understanding what this is all made out of, which would include understanding something about what a piece of life is. Let me ask you this, when you say, I am a piece of life, you are a piece of life, I hear that and understand it in a particular way, but I want to know what you mean by a piece of life.
Because what you drink is life, what you eat is life, what you breathe is life. All this we're gathering, and this is a piece of life, which has acquired a certain level of information, built its own kind of software unconsciously, and its own tendencies and its own character and its own personality, but that's a bubble. It's like if you blow soap bubbles, each bubble has a character of its own. When they burst, the most essential ingredient of the bubble was the air. Where is it? It's all there. So this is all air, and the bubble is a piece of air. Similarly, this is all life. This whole cosmos is a living cosmos. Here I'm a piece of life. And life has given me this privilege that I can hold this piece of life within myself and experience it as if I am by myself, everything. This is a fantastic privilege, but we should not abuse this.
And do you see that as being illusory, the idea that you're a piece of life and I'm a piece of life, given that we share atoms, and when I'm breathing out and you're breathing in and so on, we're exchanging atoms, do you see that as an illusion that there is a you and a me, or are we all the same life?
See, the thing is right now, all these apps have come and different kinds of softwares have come. So this is easy to understand today because people are using this thing all as if they're live, okay? And they're alive in their own way because a certain amount of information has been calibrated in a certain way to do certain things, and it's almost alive. I think most people have a better relationship with their WhatsApp than with their family, okay? Yes, people are so engaged with it because it has a character of its own, and it's even predicting what's the next word you will type. which your family cannot do, your friends cannot do probably. So, this is just like that. It has accumulated a certain amount of information. This vast life that's available, around it we formed a bubble. This is my bubble, that's your bubble. What is the content of the bubble? It's the same stuff. But what is the surface of the bubble? My surface is entirely different from yours. And it has its own characteristic, it has its own flavor, it has its own tendencies. So this is an unconscious software that every one of us are building with phenomenal amount of information that we are acquiring as we sit here. The five senses are gathering a phenomenal amount of… the amount of information that one gathers in 24 hours of time. If you spend 1,000,000 years, you can't process it. That much information we are gathering. This is what traditionally we refer to as karma. It's all twisted out in America, I'm seeing. The word karma, everybody's calling themselves karma now. You know, people are named karma. I heard some people were named karma. So we will… suppose we see right now, we don't know how the outside weather also is quite good, I think in the evening. At least the air conditioning is good, everything is nice, you're fine. Nobody's troubling you here, but you're sitting here miserably. Then we say, "Ayyo, it's his karma." What it means is, the word karma literally translates as action or doing. So we say, who you are right now is entirely your doing. The way you have structured yourself, knowingly or unknowingly, the kind of womb that you were born in is also an unconscious choice. Because you created a certain type of tendencies, that's where you moved, in search of that kind of tendencies. What facilitates that? So this software is building up all the time unconsciously. So only thing that I want to say now is, whatever you can do unconsciously, if you are willing, you can do the same thing consciously. If you can build so much software unconsciously, if you are willing, you can restructure that consciously. I can show you millions of people who restructure themselves in a matter of few weeks. I can show you few people where the very shape of their face will change in 24 hours' time simply because they start a certain process. Entirely, their whole personality is altered within a matter of 1 or 2 days of doing certain processes, because distancing yourself from your genetic memory, there's an entire process. Most Indians have forgotten, otherwise it was there in every family. Whenever somebody dies, or even when your parents are alive, there are processes how to distance yourself from your genetic memory. Because this is very important. If you want to be a unique, fresh bubble of your own, then you must distance yourself from genetic memory, otherwise you will see at 18 you're a great rebel, you don't want to be like your parents and this and that. You see when you're 45, suddenly you start walking like your father, talking like your mother, stuff is happening to you, you don't know, because don't underestimate these people. They won't give up so easily. Your grandfather may be dead and gone, but the guy wants to live through you. So the thing is to distance yourself from genetic memory so that you don't become a cyclical pattern of repetitiveness. You want to be a fresh life. That means you have to recalibrate your software consciously. Anything that you can do consciously, you can also do… anything that you can do unconsciously, you can also do consciously if the necessary striving is there.
What does it take for people to have that level of striving?
Depends how far they want to go. If somebody comes and asks, if I want to know the entire… not the new physics, what has happened till now, if I want to know, how long does it take? If a fresh student comes and asks, is there a time you can say? No, you can say, okay, start on a science undergrad, let's see. If he does undergrad and he thinks he's beginning to know everything, then you start telling him, this is not it, you got to do your masters. If he does that, you will say, then you have to do your PhD. After your PhD, you're declared that you don't know much.
That's right, that's the path of wisdom and science, is learning how little we know.
The most basic thing that one can do, how long does it take, means the most fundamental thing is, first of all, to know that there is another dimension of faculty within us. that there's another way of perceiving things, that there is something beyond, not as a belief, not as a conclusion, not as something that is said in some scripture or by some guru or some teacher or whatever, but by yourself to know, beyond this body, beyond this mind, there is something within you. This experience, if this has to happen, I would say if you are willing to dedicate just 30 hours of absolutely focused time, if you give me, in 30 hours' time, we can bring you to a place, we can give you a tool through which you know something beyond your physicality. What that thing is, you don't have to jump into a conclusion, but something beyond your physical nature will become alive within you and you know there is something beyond physical nature. If that is enough inspiration for you to continue your pursuit, then how long it will take the entire pursuit, you cannot say, each individual is his own.